mean, I know it looks like he's making a joke about motorboating some boobs, but that's not what he's thinking whatsoever. He's 5, so he would not be thinking that. No, chat. Chat, here's another anime that you've probably passed up many, many times. Hell mode, chat. Not like Hell Divers, but more Hell mode. And it's an interesting isekai that I will actually follow up on, because like anybody else who likes anime or loves anime, really, we've pretty much seen every idea known to man. Sure, they're gonna come out with something more unique, yada this, yada that, but a lot of times that's not until after they've ran an idea or a cliche right into the ground. I'm talking about an isekai, chat. Be sure to leave a like and a comment, and I will be giving out a free gift card, anime gift card, to High Dive, to a random commenter. We don't do Crunchyroll because Crunchyroll they've been doing some funny stuff. High Dive seems to be the only website that's very more uncensored than anything else. You gotta be 18. Anyway, let's get into this, chat. Let's get into this anime because I'm pretty excited about it. When it came out, right, I just passed it up. I was like, just an isekai. I'm not really interested in it. And then I saw the first episode and I'm like, okay, but still I wasn't really too interested in it until today, or was it yesterday? Today I was like, you know what? I need to find something to watch, an anime to talk about. And here we have an isekai where the main character, he was a gamer like anybody else, but he got sucked into the game, not sucked off into the game, but sucked into the game, chat. Come on, get your mind out of the gutter. He got sucked into the game, and what makes it very interesting about this particular one is that throughout the show, you see that there's a small chance that whoever developed the game that he agreed to play, because he agreed to play a game and then he got sucked into it, and he even selected hard mode or hell mode, really. Something that I normally do. I like to play on the hardest difficulty, chat, because I want to get my my time's worth of fun and aggravation and anger and rage. You know what I mean, chat? And then he got sucked into the game and got isekai. What I also find interesting about the action for this is that I think I was watching episode 2 and the action was there was action, but it was like not as choreographed, if that makes any sense. But on other scenes that I've seen, it was also pretty good. So it's like you can tell where they're cutting corners, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal. Granted, some of y'all lost your minds when you saw that one anti-hero sliding down a hill. Oh my goodness, you guys! Hey, tell me what you think about this one. All right, I would love to know. So he realizes what his powers are, and his powers are the ability to summon monsters. I don't think I've really seen that. I've seen that being like one of the few things that the main character can do, but for this one, his only power is the ability to summon monsters, and I think that's very interesting. Now I know some of you thinking, oh, he's holding up the Hitler hand. That's not what he's doing. And it may look like it, but it's not. If you don't hear any German music in the background, that's probably not what's going on here. Jeez Louise. But he summons a monster, and it's a grasshopper. And what I've also noticed about this particular anime is that they animate the monsters in a 3D kind of way. Chad, I remember a long time ago, I was like, 3D anime is garbage. Any kind of 3D is just terrible. But maybe, I think I've gotten used to it. Chat, what's your thoughts on it? Do you think 3D animation has come a long way and gotten better? Because I remember when I first saw 3D animation, I'm like, oh, this is disgusting. I didn't necessarily say that about Ruby, because I know Ruby is 3D animated, but there was a few anime that I've seen. It was just I just wasn't my cup of tea. But now I'm like, I can get behind it if they do it well, and they do it well for this one. Looks very cartoony, 3D and cartoony. But what makes his ability to summon interesting to me is that all of the things that he can summon, or he learns to summon, actually has stats. The writer has gone out of his way to keep track of all these numbers of each monster and what kind of buff and perks they give. And I you know what? I can get behind that. I can have a lot of respect for any anime that would go out of their way to make sure they have the finest touches on the smallest details. There was an anime a while ago where the main character was lying in bed and he had a blanket on, but in the next scene, like a few seconds ago, he was laying on top of the blanket. I'm like, what? I'm like, I saw the tip of my tongue of what anime it is, like, but I talked about it before. I made a video about it, but I thought that was like so, and it just went kind of downhill from there. Like, it just got, and I just saw more and more problems with that particular anime, to the point where even the creator of that anime says, hey, it's not really his fault. Like, he was pretty much saying, hey, the studio does what the studio does. He just writes it and they animate it. He can't really control them, and it kind of makes sense on some level if you think about it, chat. What we also get to see is some hints at what other monsters he might be able to conjure up in the future, because not only can he conjure up monsters right now, it's just like bugs or like small rodents. How big does a bug have to be called a rodent, chat? Is it still a bug? I'm asking for a friend who just so happens to be a hell diver. Anyway, we get to see in the future what his monsters might become. And what makes it very interesting is that he can combine some of his summons into new summons, which I find very interesting, because you may have an ant that looks like this. Not an aunt, chat. I mean an ant. Like an insect. I think that's an insect. An ant, and probably combined it with a chicken and created an entirely new monster, which I think is really cool. I think that would be very creative. Is that a goblin? What the heck kind of haircut is that? Anyway, you see him studying his Bible, his Black Bible. Don't Google that, by the way. I know things. Don't Google Black Bible. That's an anime you do not want to watch. I didn't even watch it. I just know of it. We get to see the main character's father and what his main job is, and that's hunting these big boar-like creatures, because apparently he grew up in a very poor society. What interesting thing about how he grew up is that because his when he selected this right here, when he selected the hell mode difficulty, he ended up being reincarnated with a not necessarily a disability, not necessarily a handicap, but probably a handicap, meaning he can't level up as fast. At some point he does end up saying, hey, even though this may seem like a game to me, it's not a game to these guys. Like, they don't even know that they're in a game. So, and this is very specific, by the way, because at some point during his life, he's still around 5 or 6 or something like that. He went into his book and, like, filed a complaint about something because there was a bug somewhere, and one day it was fixed. And I'm like, whoa, I never seen a game isekai where the developers, well, I guess it was one of the OG ones, like Sword Art Online, right? But would you call that an isekai? The game developers of this world he was isekai to are watching him. They never show up in any way, shape, or form or anything like that. But it's the fact that he said, hey, there's a bug here, and like this text is gobbledygook in this book, fix it. Like, and sometime later it's fixed. And I'm like, I've not seen that in isekai before. Like, I think that's like very fascinating. We get to see his father's frenemy. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, his best friend, but also his rival that he works with to take down these boars. Which I like his character. He's a lot more. They're both tough, but they got their own flavor of toughness. They apparently, before they even had a family, they was like duking it out. And when I say duke it out, I don't mean like you have 2 toilets facing each other and you're just trying to see who can. I'm not saying anything like that, all right? I'm just saying they used to like fight all the time. And I think that's interesting. I bring it up because the little things, a lot of little things can help make or break an anime for me. Like, for example, Chibi Face. I'm not a big fan of Chibi Face. Like in that Muscle anime. That one, I was okay with it because it's just how it is. I like it. It was serious, very serious when it needs to be, and very silly when it needs to be. So that makes sense. Not like Bleach, right? It's very silly, but for the most part, it's very serious. It's got a silly moments. For that Muscle anime, it's mostly silly, but it gets deep at the same time. So it's kind of where life might be in danger, but he still manages to do something crazy that makes the bad guy's eyes pop out of his head. Something like that. We get to see a few of his summons, his early summons, and I think that's we got a frog, a bird, and a mole that can dig a massive hole. Yeah, I'm not trying to rhyme, chat. Sometimes I'm on time. Anyway, we get to see that blonde-haired dude's daughter. The whole trope, it's a girl, but is very tough. You get that with this one. And she's extremely strong. Well, I wouldn't know if you would say strong or just really skilled. Either way, she's just wants to be a master swords woman. So while the main character isn't really big into sword play, like the little girl is, and she seems like she's going to become a force to be reckoned with, because I've seen a few of the episodes around episode 5 or so. I won't show you too much. I just want to give you enough to get you going, but she is pretty tough with a sword. What I also like is that the main character has been friends with her for so long that he manages to pick up a few skills, because his dad doesn't teach him how to use a sword and his mom doesn't teach him how to use a sword. Who pretty much teaches him is the little girl, who doesn't necessarily teach him, just, hey, let's just keep swinging these wooden swords around and see who wins. And because he's just been doing that, he just naturally learns to do it. I'm sure at some point he ends up getting a teacher or something like that. What this little girl does is, like, she's not a skilled swordsman. I think that's what it is. Because when I saw her fight, not necessarily in this scene, but when I saw her fight an adult, she seems like, it's hard to explain. You have to watch it, chat. It's just very funky. It's very funky stuff, but it's comedic. It's very comedic in some way, even though it was like serious, but it was very comedic. But you can see how strong she is. She managed to break his sword, his wooden sword. Those things aren't cheap, chat. Yeah, those things are not cheap. And she goes home at the end of the day after she beats the snot out of him. She's so good that I don't know if she beats her father during the when she's playing with the sword, but he does get a lot of bruises from her. So I don't think she's super strong. Like if she was to use her fist or something like that, I don't think she's that strong. But with the sword, she just naturally just skilled and powerful. Yeah, if that makes any sense. She's very adorable too. I've seen her get we'll get into it. What I've also seen is the main character's mother give birth to like multiple babies. So the main character is going to end up having like a few siblings. I haven't really seen that in a lot of isekai. I don't recall seeing that. I've seen that in one isekai, but I can't remember the name of it. I want to say Konosuba, but that's definitely not it. Konosuba is the best isekai out there. Like, tell me I'm wrong, Chad. I dare you. But we see the main character ends up with like a bunch of siblings, and I find that interesting because one, I've seen like the main character's mother end up with one sibling, not two, maybe even three. I haven't gotten that far, so I'm really interested in seeing how that plays out. We also get to see the little girl's mother, right? I was about to say little girl's father's wife, but I could have just said whatever, Chad. I'm not here to make you smile. We get to see his wife, and we get to see the little boy's baby brother, who I think ends up being proficient with the spear, or it's leaning in that direction. So they reach the age that they need to go into town and see what kind of skills they got. Any isekai or any fantasy where the character is young and has to go get their skills appraised, right? What I will notice is that these two right here are wearing red lipstick. I think we will get to see their face in the far future, because honestly, I don't think it would make too much sense to like give them like red lipstick like that, unless you're gonna reveal them later. It's hard to tell, because right now it's a good touch and they can just stay like that for the entire season. It's very possible. I don't see why not, but we will see. I'm very curious on how that will play out. But we get to see one of the main character's new friends, or at least I wouldn't say friend, but at least someone he ends up rolling with in a party in the future. Because I think he's also in the trailer or the thumbnail. He's on the thumbnail, I think. I tried to skip the trailer, chat, or the opener. It's too many spoilers. A little bit of soft kid. He seems like he might be a mage, really, or support of some kind. That's his father, who actually owns all the land and everything. He's like a noble. He seems to be a cool guy. You know how the noble is the bad guy and takes advantage, yada this, yada that. He doesn't seem like he's that type of individual whatsoever. Because there was a we'll get to there. We'll get there. All right, hold on to that one. Then we get to see this boy, and I know it looks like he's making a joke about motorboating some boobs, but that's not what he's thinking whatsoever. He's 5, so he would not be thinking that. No, chat. I don't think that world even knows what motorboating is. Anyway, he's an axe user, and he's a little bit more of a hothead, but I think I'm really excited to see him in action, see what he's got under the hood. And then we see the little girl where when she goes up to the thing, everyone was like, your daughter is going to be a legend because she's a sword master or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, very skilled. So much of a skill that we'll get there. We'll get there. Then we get to see the main character, and we've probably seen this time and time again, chat. Plenty of times where the main character ends up with a crazy powerful stats or no stats whatsoever, like to nothing. And sometimes they mix it up where you see no stats, but they're secretly very, very powerful. For him, it's more of a no stats because there was a bug. That's the bug he complained about. Hey, this is all broken, fix it. But when he does get to see his stats for real, they're average. They're nothing special. They're nothing you to write home about, nothing like that. And I like that because it's always an extreme with these, right? You're extremely powerful or you're extremely weak. It's never in the middle, chat. I think that's what we need in anime. We need something that's average. Something with the possibility of getting better or something with the possibility of even just getting worse. I haven't really seen that. That would be interesting. Say, man, you've been practicing, but you've been like starting to suck more. What's up with that? Maybe you should stop practicing. Yeah, stop that. Get some help. So the two fathers start fighting. He's like, hey, we're an average family now, or we're just a poor average family. Our son doesn't have any skills, but your daughter is going to be a legend. I don't think our family should talk anymore. And this guy's like, that's stupid. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I find that very interesting because that's got to be at least one anime where the main character's like, hey, you're great. I got to, keep my distance from you because you're amazing. I really want to bring you down, right? There's two friends fighting over each other because they care so much about each other. I think that's pretty awesome. We also get to see in this scene, the wives show a little bit of their personality. Like his wife is a little bit more soft. His wife a little bit more soft and sweet, while his wife is like punched him in the face, like it would knock it off. So there's a little bit of character developments, even for characters who are in the background, and I like that. So this is the scene, Chad, I was telling you about where the main character, the little girl ends up meeting a very important commander or general or knight or something like that. He's very high up there, and he was telling the father, says, hey, we have to fight this little girl, this 5-year-old girl, to see if you were lying about her appraisal or if you cheated somehow, because that's not normal. And if you're lying or if you refuse to fight, we're gonna kill her and your entire family. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's insane. But he's like, well, my daughter's 5. How she never even held a real sword. What are you talking about? But the little girl was like, sure, I'll do it. I'm like, no, really? Is that how it is? So she fights one of the underlings, right? And that is pretty much all I'm going to tell you about how that fight went down. All I can tell you is that this is what happened to that little girl's sword. Moving on. So the little girl seems to have an appetite like Goku. Strangely enough, you're onto something, chat. When you got an appetite like him, you can tell who the main character is when you're eating that much. We get to see the Axe Kid and his father once again. He's to be honest, like he's a hothead, but and a little bit of a jerk to the main character. But he's a little bit of fun. He's a little bit of fun too when he gets into the scene. Yeah. Then we get to see this boy again because his father is a noble, the noble who owns all the land. He doesn't seem like the spoiled brat type either. Like, he seems like a pretty chill. I feel like the main character is like getting set up to have a very chill and fun group of friends. Best friend right here. I don't even know how these two even came into the picture. I think they just accidentally came into the picture. Yeah. But we also get to see the knight who recognized his father's name. It says, "Oh, you're that so and so." I don't remember his name, chat. He said, "Oh, you're that so and so." Like, well, your hard work at killing those boars brings in a lot of meat to the nobles. No diddy. Brings in a lot of meat to the nobles. And your hard work, something that like nobody else really does. Like he doesn't do it by himself. He has a team, of course. But that all that meat has been very beneficial to the nobles, and he's pretty much famous. His name is famous to in the higher ups, and I think that's very interesting. He's famous, but not on the level of, oh my goodness, you need to be wealthy kind of thing. No, not like that. So, and that's another reason why I like this story so far, is because even though very good potential for the story going anywhere, there's nothing game breaking here. He's very strong and his name is very famous and well known up there. However, he's not going to immediately get into a mansion. Makes you think, chat. Your hard work, you could be working your butt off, out of breath, you're panting, right? I said panting, not pantying. All right, those are two. That's not even a word. Don't think of that word. That's not even a word. That just sounds weird and confusing at the same time. And yet your hard work only gets you so far, chat. And I think I like that kind of writing, because it doesn't break the system. It doesn't break the story that's being told. Regardless, this anime is gearing up to be pretty good. I'm going to be following up on this. I'm not going to do another video about it, but I would definitely be watching more of this particular anime. Be sure to leave a like and a comment, because I am going to, if we get enough commenters, I will be giving out a free anime gift card as a thank you for watching these videos. Anyway, chat, I love you. Bye-bye.